Welcome back to Thrive Well Podcast. It has been a minute, but we are so excited to be back in action. And today you get to hear from the VP of Operations of Thrive Realty Co., Tony Dombrowski.
So excited to be here, Jess. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Tony, instead of me giving your intro, I am going to pass the metaphoric mic to you.
Got it.
It's right there.
Yep.
And if you could introduce yourself as to who you are here. Obviously, you work for Thrive. It's been an absolute pleasure working together for the last 2 years. You're the VP of Operations here. But let's go a little bit deeper than the titles and the nuances of like time frames. Like, what do you do here at Thrive?
Short answer, I help lead our special ops team. And that runs across several different departments and teams, whether it's marketing, media, recruiting, business operations, sales. I help lead a team of individuals that are absolutely fantastic. And it's a joy to work alongside them.
Yeah. So maybe we give people a bit of context because you've been at Thrive for 2 years.
Yeah,
you
close.
Look extremely young. It could have been your first job.
Do I?
But it wasn't.
Oh, wow.
Nice. It wasn't your first job. So what did you do before Thrive that brought you to, because you're an interesting guy.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So let's start back into, your little filming days.
Oh,
and then we moved into small business operations, big business operations.
Yeah. I mean, early on in my 20s, myself and a handful of friends who I grew up with, we started a online business essentially where we went into bars and clubs in the Metro Detroit area, and we were pioneers in this industry, but we did online reviews of the bars and clubs. We rated them everything from drinks to music to environment to the people, the music, and that ignited very quickly. What ended up happening was bars and clubs started calling us, asking us to come in and review their bars. That turned into us hosting parties, which had a financial gain from doing that. And it led all the way to a local publication at that time, Real Detroit, actually asking if we'd partner with them, which we did. And we did that for about just over 10 years, and that was in my 20s. And that was truly kind of my springboard into business development. And then I ended up working for a series of small companies, large companies, helping them build teams, cross-team collaboration. The place I came from prior to Thrive was an e-commerce gifting company. I helped facilitate their teams and departments. I handled I was the VP of operations for that company as well. And then that springboarded into an opportunity here to work for Thrive. So a lot of success through the years, a lot of learning through the years. And I like to say that I'm street smart. So, I learned a lot of the things just from hustling. I started from the bottom, worked my way up. I started early on. I was everything from customer service and just going up and up and up and up and up. And then probably for the last 20 years, I've been in leadership primarily and helping teams build and grow.
Awesome. Love it.
That was a really long answer.
That's all right. We got it.
Truncate that, edit it.
Yeah. Okay. So now fast forward all of that to get you right here at Thrive.
Yeah.
And that was kind of an interesting story of how we got started here. And I think we should tell that story because it showcases something about you and your character that I think is quintessential to anybody listening, whether you're an agent thinking about hiring your first admin versus a brokerage, a small business saying, okay, we need to go next level in operations.
Yeah.
I'll start it off and then hand it over to you.
Sure.
The role that I had available for operational leader in a larger capacity had been filled.
It had, yeah.
And you had applied, you were going through your routine of doing things. And I remember getting a knock on my door from the gal that had filled that role and saying, we've got something going on here. You know, we've got a resume that just came in that's extremely impressive. And not only did that resume come in, but this guy found a mutual connection, reached out to the mutual connection. And I think if you're anything like me, Jess, this is worthwhile having a conversation. There's lots of components here that scream, let's have a conversation. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure. Really, I didn't even see the resume, knew nothing about you whatsoever. I said, go ahead. Do the interview, meet with this guy, this random guy. And then I remember the meeting because you were sitting out in the lobby. Yeah. And she had come back to talk to me. I think you were still here because I came out to meet you. I
believe so. Yeah, you did come out. Yeah.
And she came in and she's like, we need to find a spot. And I'm like, what does that mean? She's like, I just don't know how you say no to this. Yeah. And I came out and met you. Such a nice guy, great energy. I then started looking at your resume and weeks went by and I said, you know what? Nothing that a conversation can't at least lead to something, whether it's saying I have a friend, another company, whatever it may be, right? And I just remember when you came in and we sat down, how many times did we go through those iterations?
3.
It was quite a bit.
Yeah, and it was extensive.
Yes.
And it was and just to look at the other side of the spectrum. For me, every single time we did connect and we had those conversations, whether you want to call it an interview or conversations. Yes. Yeah. It was a two-way, conversation. So for me, every time we chatted a little bit more, I was like, oh, this is the place. This is the place. And by the time third conversation, I was like, I need to come into Thrive. There has to be a way that I can come into Thrive. So it was an exciting time for me too.
Yeah, it was amazing. It all ended up working out perfectly. We actually started your project managing several kind of external projects that we had going on. And that's the way we could find a way to work together. Yeah. And then ultimately you ended up taking on the role in itself and it all worked out to be the best for everybody.
Yeah, so, it was fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, since being here at Thrive, you're the vice president of operations. Yeah. What is it that you feel you've achieved, you've accomplished from small business to, I would still consider a small business. Sure. Yeah. But from where you started to where we are today operationally, what do you see as the major strides we've made?
The build out of tools that truly our sales force can utilize is probably the first one that comes to mind. And that comes through the efforts of multiple people, multiple teams within Thrive. But we've been able to create some pretty unique things here at Thrive as a brokerage that are available to our agents that I believe are unique to this industry, that truly help level them up. And so the strategy, the framework, the actual build out, the testing, the discovery, and then fine tweaking, and then the validation that we are truly creating things that help our agents grow their business is one of the most rewarding things that I've been able to experience here at Thrive the last 2 years.
Yeah. And I think that's an important piece for anybody listening that's wondering, how do I go from where I'm at? And let's consider you've got multiple people on your team from an operational standpoint. Sure. That would be when you bring in somebody like Tony to go from that kind of, we've got this thing going, it's humming, it's good. But how do we get to great? Yeah. And I think that's something that was unique to bringing you in from outside the industry with the amount of small business operations skill set that you had and experience. It's made a huge difference in the viewpoint that you bring to everything.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Which I think is why we can say things like it's unique to the industry.
Sure, 100%.
Because you're bringing facets from other industries and saying they apply here.
Absolutely.
We can make it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's been an exciting ride.
Thanks.
A fun little ride.
It's been fantastic.
Okay, let's talk about.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's. How would you, now that you've been here for a couple of years, you've never worked inside the real estate industry. No. How would you describe Thrive as a business without bringing up the fact that we sell homes?
Intentional focus on milestone moments of other individuals. That's how I'd put it.
Yeah.
Without saying real estate.
Yeah.
And that's what we do here. There's a lot of intention behind the value of our clients, And I'm saying it from special ops all the way through our agents, our executive team. There's a lot of intention and integrity that we put forth to serve either our real estate partners or our clients themselves. Did that answer the question?
I think so. Okay. And I think you said something that I think is important, that I would say with the viewpoint I have across the country into real estate teams, brokerages, individual businesses, is the integrity piece.
Yeah.
And I believe it's why it's no different than a stereotypical salesperson, like a car salesman. It's always the first thing people think.
Yeah.
And they get a bad rap.
They do.
And it's because of the lack of integrity. And it's almost the same concept here in real estate.
Sure.
Is that realtors get a bad rap, right? I mean, we've gone through many iterations of pivots here in real estate in the industry in the time that you've been here because of that lack of integrity that is perceived by the consumer or even in operations teams and things like that. And so I love that that's something that you're like, no, that's pivotal here. That's a pillar that we dive off of every single day.
Yeah. And the reason I say I use the word intention, right, is because, externally, you can throw everything in the book at an agent to say, hey, here's how things are done. Here's documents. Here's compliance, all these different
Here's
assets.
leads.
Here's leads. But what I see Thrive does every single day is pour into our agents. And that intention on, hey, we're not just going to give you leads, and we're not just going to throw things at you and you're going to be in an island. We're going to pour into you every single day. And when you come into the office, we're going to acknowledge you're here, and we're going to make sure that you have everything you need to have a successful day. Our culture that we have here at Thrive is truly, I believe, what allows agents to come in and go, oh, this isn't just the talk. This is the talk and the walk. I'm sure a lot of brokerages out there can do a pretty good song and dance. And I think that several of our agents that come into Thrive within the last 2 years that I've been here, they may have conveyed before coming in, this sounds a little too good to be true. But I think one of the most rewarding things is watching them in their first 30 days, and coming to our events and our workshops and having the level of leadership and the culture itself. It's wonderful to see them go, oh my gosh, it is true. This culture is possible. This safe place to work and grow my business is actually a reality, and that's us. That's Thrive.
Yeah, and I think one thing that comes to mind, I mean, our mission statement here for the longest time, 5-6 years, has been a space to grow.
Yeah.
And then each individual within the special ops team has their individual mission statement for their role.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing. Recently, I saw a company coin, we're a space where pros go to grow. And I thought that is so fascinating that this is coming off so quickly of the tongue, because there's a difference in how everyone defines professionalism, right? And you can either define it as you're a mega producer, you produce. It's transactional. And so you're a professional just by default of production.
Right.
Versus, no, a true professional is skilled, sound, calm, confident, and ever evolving and growing. For their clientele and themselves, right? There's a care and candor that goes with it. And so here at Thrive, we truly believe in the latter, right? We're interested in the whole person really becoming that professional and loving the life they're building.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep. So I love that that's a recognition piece.
Thanks. I really excel at
I love that.
Recognition of
I really love
things.
that you recognize stuff.
Recognize it all.
Recognition.
I see it all.
That's good. What would you say, looking back over the last 24 months plus? I mean, we're working into what, almost 3? Or are we 2.5? Where are we at?
How long
for your time frame here?
2 years.
It's
not even 2 years, but close to it.
It's almost 2 years. Everything feels longer to me.
It feels like I've been here.
Doesn't it?
For 5. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say 5 or 6 years. It feels like I've been here.
Yeah.
When in reality, I've been here just under 2. But you feel that way when you enjoy what you do. And you enjoy who you work with. So, you look at two sides of the coins. You ask somebody who's not happy in life or in what they do, and you're like, how long you've been here? There's two ways to answer.
Yes.
Right? If they're not happy, they're like, it feels like forever,
Yes.
And then the other side is the same answer, but it's the tonality of it that really, truly validates their happiness. And it does feel like forever that I've been here, but in the most impactful, positive way.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you think it matters who you work with?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think...
Because it's so cliche, right?
Yeah.
It's said all the time. And so it's become a cliche.
Yeah.
Now, I am a big fan that cliches exist for a good reason.
Yeah.
It's because it's been repeated so often in the history of time that it's become a staple, a statement, a coined term. So why does it matter?
Well, I think it matters for a number of reasons. One is mentally, we seek out people that are like us or like yourself. I've always considered myself a good read of people, a good judge of character. And I guess those two things are what I look for. I look for integrity, character. I look for people that truly, want to put in the work, want to feel like they're of service, want to grow. And when I say, let me go back, when I say want to be of service, it's want to be of service not only to others, but to themselves, right? And so I do think it's important to work with like-minded people that share your values, your integrity. That doesn't always happen.
Right.
I worked at places where, I came in, I knew what the structure was, I knew what I needed to do, and I went through the path of being of service, and shortly versus long term, I should say, I realized, it's not
an alignment.
Not in alignment with me, right? And could I have powered through and still made it work? Yeah, of course. But when it comes to integrity and that becomes in question, that's a stopgap for me. And that's where I'm like, if we're not in line from an integrity standpoint, this just isn't going to be a long-term thing for me.
Yeah. I think that's a self-respect thing, to be honest. I look at integrity as a massive piece to someone's self-respect.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? If you hold yourself to a high standard, there's no way you would do certain things, say certain things, or even allow certain things, right? Because there's just a standard.
And that's why I say, and that's why I say I look for like-minded people.
Makes sense.
People like me, so.
Makes sense. Well, it's good to know.
We're in alignment.
Total alignment.
100%.
100%.
Like, you don't even need to ask me a question. I know what it is. I'll just answer it.
Roger that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is your... Okay. So when you think back on the time here, what would be your best memory? Because you have had quite the hilarious times when we have to earmark it with pictures in my mind. I'm like, sweet Bonnie, your wife.
Yeah.
God, the madness she has to be going through with are you really going to work today? Is that you're in a costume?
Yeah, you're wearing a Buddy the Elf costume. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are you wearing PJs today?
You're like first week on the job.
It's Spirit Week. Just going full speed ahead here. Yeah.
Yeah. Tony's first week on the job, just so everybody has context here. It was Spirit Week, and we were not about to slow that train down.
No,
and you were like,
not for me. No.
Of course I'm in.
I'm in.
You don't even have to ask twice. And
I'm all for costumes, so I was fine.
You showed up in Buddy the Elf.
But by the fifth day, I was in another costume, and my wife met me in the hallway, and she's like, "Where did you get a job?"
Yes. What is going on? What's your favorite memory since being here?
There's a lot, to be honest with you. It's hard to pinpoint one. Humor is a big aspect of my life. I seek it out. I've always said if you're not laughing a couple times every day, then you're probably doing the wrong thing. So that's always been my mantra. So humor is a big thing for me. So I'll answer it in two ways: the humorous side, and then the really impactful answer. So the humorous one would be I found myself in a dart gun style war here at Thrive with many of our agents and special ops team just under a year ago, or just over a year ago, I should say. And I unintentionally shot myself in the face with the dart gun. And the reason that that's funny, Ryan, is because Ryan decided to put it in our year-end blooper reel, which we play at Gala.
Yeah.
And what makes it even funnier, Ryan, is that on year 2, when he did the next year's blooper,
It made it again.
he still slid it in there.
It's too good not to.
Which makes me feel like at our next Gala, Ryan, he's going to slip it in again.
Yeah.
So I can't escape that humorous moment. And again, I think that one of the reasons that sticks is it makes everybody laugh. And
Yes.
I love, creating laughter as well. So
It was really good.
Insert clip.
Yes,
clip here. Yes. So I'm gonna be completely honest with you and answer the question from an impactful way for me.
Ooh, okay.
Being here at Thrive has allowed me the opportunity to attend and to experience things that I just have not had the opportunity to experience. You've been able to provide me with the opportunity to go to different workshops internally and externally here at Thrive that has helped me align myself mentally and physically. The knowledge transfer that I've received here at Thrive internally and externally through the opportunities that you provided me is probably the most impactful thing that I've received here at Thrive the last 2 years. And I say that because through those opportunities, I've been able to quickly be of service by taking that knowledge transfer and putting it forth at work, in life, for myself, for others. That's the most impactful thing that I've received from being here at Thrive. And I could say the simple answers. It could be, I love the people I work with, and I do, and I love what I do. But I've never been able to, when you say culture here at Thrive, and you just mentioned earlier how, it's not just numbers that provide success of somebody. It's what I've been able to obtain here at Thrive in the last 2 years is a reframing of not only my mental state but my physical state. And I feel more like myself as Tony especially in the last year than I did prior to coming into Thrive. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. That makes my heart burst, Tony, because that's my mission, right? To create that space and be able to contribute in that way.
Sure.
So that means a lot. And I'm really, really glad to hear that. And I hope everyone that's listening, whether you're TLs, brokers, agents, that you put yourself in that environment or you create that environment for others, because that is a great responsibility. And I hope that more people take it seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So when we think about the fact that we have a brokerage called Thrive, what does Thrive mean to you? To thrive, to be thriving?
What does Thrive mean to me? It meant something completely different before I came into Thrive versus now. Again, I'm going to go back on what I said a little earlier. To me, Thrive is more of a mental state than a physical one. It's more of a growth in one's well-being and one's purpose versus what I think traditionally I would have thought prior to coming into Thrive, which is success in financial gain and growth in obtaining all these physical things. And now being at Thrive after the last 2 years, I realize for me it's more of a mental growth, a physical growth, and truly feeling the value and the impact of your output to serve others and that growth in that to me is what Thrive means.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I mean it. So,
Tony, if people want to learn more about operations, thriving, excellence in systems, tech, tools, modalities to help others rise to the occasion, how can they get at you?
They can email me at tony@thriverealtyco.com, and I'll be happy to respond, to drop some knowledge transfer.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us. I know how valuable that is. And thank you all for listening today. If you are looking for more Thrive Well podcasts, be sure to subscribe and leave us a comment. We want to know what you thought about Tony's singing today, for sure.